Time is 7:07 p.m. Good evening, everyone. I announce that a quorum is present, um, and we'll start the city council regular meeting off with the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. For invocation today, we have Pastor Anderson. Please come on up. Everyone, please stand.
O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer, it's once more and again, Master, we come before you to say thank you. Father, we ask that you continue to look down upon this council in this city. Father, I ask that you continue to bless it in the way that you would have it to be. Father, as you look on all those on the sound of my voice, I ask that you give them what they stand in need of. Father, then we've done all that you've asked us to do. Father, we ask you to continue to just give us that love that runs from heart to heart and from breast to breast. These and all things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, maybe seated. We have an announcement. Palooza, May 3rd through 4th, 2024. Want to come up? There we go.
Hi, how council, hi everyone. As you guys know, we have been planning and working very hard to make Palooza, which is this weekend. Friday 5 to 10, Saturday 11 to 11. As you can see there, that is the schedule and programming. We are watching the weather very carefully. As of right now, it's too early to make any decisions. And as you know, these are our rain or shines event. The only way that we will delay or have to unfortunately cancel the event if due to more severe weather with lightning and thunder and all those weather phenomena that may become very dangerous. But if it's just rain, it's a rain or shines event, so it will not be canceled. There will be more announcements, and we will keep everybody and the community informed accordingly. Any questions?
Questions, Councilman?
I guess all of you guys have your hats. Yes. Chairs will be in on Friday to give off to everybody. So yeah.
Questions? All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's see. Moving on to proclamations. All right, declaring the week of May 12th. Actually, I should go in order. Declaring the week of May 5th through the 11th, 2024 as Municipal Courts Week. So, proclamation, 55th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the Office of the City Secretary, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world. Whereas the Office of the City Secretary is the oldest among public servants and provides the professional link between the citizens, the local government bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the City Secretary serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continue to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of the City Secretary through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state and provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the compliments of the Office of the City Secretary. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor of the City of Manor, and on behalf of the Manor City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2024 as Municipal Clerks Week. and further extend appreciation to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Confirmed this first day of May 2024. Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor, City of Mena. All right. All right. We'll do a picture. Council, y'all want to come down?
I know. Get close and like each other. Come on. Here we go.
And get y'all steps in today. All right, next. Police Week. Declaring the week of May 12th through 18th, 2024 as Police Week. Proclamation recognizing National Police Week 2024 and honoring the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty and protecting U.S. communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in the communities across the United States, including all dedicated Mena police officers. And whereas since the first recorded line of duty death in 1786, more than 26,600 law enforcement officers in the United States have been made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Currently, there are 23,785 names engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 282 names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including officers killed in 2023 and 146 officers killed in previous years. And whereas of the 136 officers killed in 2023, on average left behind 2 children. And whereas 11 of the 136 officers killed in 2023 were from Texas, which accounts for 8% of officer line of duty deaths, and the second highest in the nation with the most officer fatalities. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in line of duty will be honored during National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund 36th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th in the nation's capital. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor of the City of Mena, and on behalf of the City of Mena City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2024 as Police Week in the City of Mena, and public salute the service of our law enforcement officers in our community and communities around the nation. Proclaim this first day of May 2024, Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor, City of Mena. We definitely want to thank our officers for keeping us safe and risking your lives for all of us. So we appreciate you all. Y'all come on down and get a photo.
Come on down.
Marty sits for me. He knows he likes photos. He needs a walk.
You didn't come back here, but get them all in.
See the thing, I have a nice photo. I don't know where you can.
If I got them back here, you're big. Sonia,
Maria.
I think I see you. Sonia Marie. It's perfect.
I was about to put a check.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Declaration during the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as Public Works Week. Proclamation. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable, resilient communities and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Manor. And whereas these infrastructure facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are water and wastewater operators, utility, street employees, and management at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, streets, park maintenance, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Manor to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public work programs in their respective communities. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor of the City of Manor, and on behalf of the Manor City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through May 25th, 2024 as Public Works Week in the City of Manor, and I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies dedicated to pay tribute to our awesome public work professionals, water and wastewater operators, utility, streets, parks, maintenance employees, and management, to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness hereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Manor to be affixed this first day, May 2024. Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor of the City of Manor. So we definitely have a special place in our heart for you all, because all the things that we do move because you all make it move. So thank you, gentlemen, ladies, for being here. Come on up, let's take a picture.
Please get together like you love each other. Come on. Together. Don't make me move the podium, guys. Come on. Come down here.
I want to stay here.
Phone. No.
Come on.
Ladies, I don't see you guys.
I know. Come on, sir. I'm right in the middle. I'll stand by. Oh, one, two, three. One more. 1, 2, 3. Hey, girl. Good job.
All right. Thank you all again for all of your hard work and helping moving our city forward. We're going to move now to public comments. Non-agenda item public comments are on the white card. Agenda item public comments on the yellow card. Looks like we have combination of both today. So on the white card, comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda related topics for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. On the yellow card, comments will be taken from the audience on the non-agenda and agenda items, combined length of time not to exceed 5 minutes total per person on all items, except for public hearings. Comments on public hearings. Items must be made when the item comes before council and not to exceed 2 minutes per person. No action or discussion may be taken by the city council during the public comments on non-agenda items. To address city council, complete the white or yellow cards presented to the city secretary or designate prior to the meeting. All right, let's start off with Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name's Robert Bataille. I love parks. I just want to know why the heck they're all empty. We have like $800,000 they can't put a dog run in 10 years. Now, I was really kind of upset when I went to the Manor history page on our website, and you didn't even mention James B. Manor. This is a picture of James B. Manor, and I bet 80% of the people in our town doesn't even know he existed. I'm going to say more right now than you guys have told the town in probably 30 years. James B. Manor and Sam Houston came west from Tennessee in 1832. In 1850, he gave us the land for this town. He gave us the railroad and the cemetery. His homestead from 1850 is right over here behind the Lions Club. So no, we don't want 95 townhomes by his cemetery on top of black people's graves. I've showed you the pictures of those a dozen times. And no, we don't want 400 apartments over here. That's our Alamo. We need to save that. We need to find 4 strong, brave candidates. 4 personas pueden salvar nuestra ciudad. Todos los parques están vacíos. ¿Por qué? No hay edificios en las tumbas del cementerio. Tenemos que luchar con palabras y amor. So we need some candidates, and I'm hoping people will come. Speaking of Maynard-Palooza, I remember back when you guys wanted to get rid of Cap Metro and run the shuttles yourself. This is your chance. Why don't you run some shuttles out there? You know, run all day long, make a loop, a couple shuttle buses. You know, we're spending $130,000 on that event. We're spending $15,500 just so people can like mutilate themselves with a sausage eating contest you guys call a sport. Here's a good one. How can we pay an economic director, development service director, city manager, et cetera, and then they go out and pay consultants? Why don't the planners do the planning? That's the idea, to save money, not hire all these consultants. There's one on the day thing on the agenda tonight. You kind of hide how much we're spending. It's like $300,000 to do a survey and needs assessment. The only people that have the needs are the consultants that need more money. I don't like the way you guys, you don't tell people what's happening. The public hearing says, go look at the newspaper if you want to learn about this. Newspaper didn't say anything. I'm talking about Manor Heights. Maybe people would like to know how much money you're spending. It's $5 million. How many people are going to be there, and where it is. Little things like that might really be useful to the people. And then answer me this: how come the developer isn't paying that $5 million? Back in my day, developers could go to a bank and get money. Nowadays, we have to get the government to give it to us. So why are us cheap little people doing this? Now, for this sports thing, we want a sports venue at the sewage plant. That just seems like kind of a bad place for a sports center. But since we don't know how to put in a dog run or a ping pong table or where they should go, we're going to spend $300,000 to Hunden Partners. Surprise, surprise. Okay, this is, by the way, this is from an email I sent all you guys. When I send out emails, folks, I send about 350. I send all the city council. I send all the Manor ISD. The mayor works for Manor ISD. I send the Chamber of Commerce. How come the Chamber of Commerce isn't helping us with this stuff? I thought those were the wheeler dealer mucky mucks. No? I guess I was wrong. So I think this thing about borrowing $5 million. The owners are from New York. It's Sky Village Kimbrough Estates LLC and RHOF LLC from New York City. They can put in their own sewer pipes, I think. We're sitting on a gold mine. We don't need to beg people to come here and build, okay? Let's be proud. Let's make pride in our city. Let's put in some plazas too. Every commercial development over 10 acres is required to have a plaza. How come you guys can't ask for that? We've got 3 commercial developments right now that are over 10 acres. If you don't ask for it, no one's going to put it in, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving right along. We have Miss Lily. Come on.
Good evening, council members. Move this. My name is Lily Borup, and I'm the Community Engagement Liaison for CK Family Services. We're a dedicated child placement agency that has served in Texas for the past 24 years. As we gather here on this first day of May, I want to draw attention to the significance of this month. This is National Foster Care Awareness Month. It's a time when we recognize the incredible importance of foster care and to celebrate the selfless individuals and families who have opened their hearts and their homes to kids in need. You may be wondering what I'm doing here tonight. I'm here because we've seen a notable uptick in inquiries from potential foster parents right here in Manor. This speaks volumes about the generosity and compassion of the people of Manor, who are stepping up to make a huge difference in the lives of these vulnerable kids. Right now, in our backyard, are real stories of real children who have faced unimaginable challenges, heartbreaking trauma, and vast uncertainties in their young lives. They are counting on us as a community to provide them with love, stability, and support that they need to thrive. Foster care is not just about providing a temporary shelter. It's about creating a safe environment where these kids can heal from their trauma, grow, and ultimately flourish. It's about offering them a sense of belonging and security during a time of upheaval and uncertainty, a time when they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or where they might go next. As we navigate the complexities of the foster care system, it's imperative that we work together. Government agencies, community organizations, and everyday citizens to ensure that every child in Manor has the opportunity to reach their full potential. As of last month, there are currently 407 kids in this county alone needing placement. That's according to DFPS. We're looking to partner with the Manor community and the city to increase awareness surrounding this real tangible need for more foster parents for these kids in Manor and in Central Texas. While we have had many recent inquiries from Manor residents, which we are so grateful for, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're hoping and praying that this momentum will continue. Together, we can make a lasting impact on the lives of these kids. So let's continue to stand together for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I missed your card. Come on up, Tracy. There you go. Oh, there you go.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here tonight, excited and just ecstatic to bring to you a new member of our team, Belen Pena, who's coming from Elgin, who is our new finance director. Belen?
Good evening. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm here for to serve as a new finance director. I mean, just if you have any questions, you feel free to email me, and just appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you for being here, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Okay. Yeah, this is my second week. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And Miss Crystal? Yes, come on up.
Hi. We came to I wasn't sure how this worked. I wasn't sure if you were gonna be able to like respond, but I don't think so, right? I was just wanting to urge the city of Maynard to make sure that the police department is fully funded and that we can try to make sure that there is a safe number of police officers to citizens of Manor ratio. Recently in Bell Farms, our neighborhood, there's been a notable uptick in crime, especially surrounding drugs and firearms. So we're wanting to urge the city council to work with the police department, try to come up with some creative responses to this, especially because a lot of that crime is involving the youth. So we were just wanting to hope that in your plans there is communication between the entities to try to make sure that we stay safe and that the police are able to do their work safely, and that they have all the support that they need for all the work that they're doing, endangering their lives and working such long hours to keep all of us safe. So that was what we wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. All right. That concludes our public comments, and we'll move right into public hearing. Conduct a public hearing on levy and assessments and improvement area number 4. Thank you guys for coming out. Manor Heights Public Improvement District.
Evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So these items, they are being postponed. There were some updates to some of the
1 and 2.
1 and 2 and their related action items. They're being re-notified for the 15th as well. But you can postpone them to the 15th, but there are also additional notices that are being sent out. There were some corrections to some of the documents that the developer had provided.
Gotcha.
And so that required that we needed to update some stuff, and then so y'all couldn't take action tonight.
Yeah,
So we
no
moved to
worries.
15.
I knew that for 6 and 7, but they didn't say 1 and 2. Yeah. So no worries. Can we get a motion? We gotta do it one at a time.
We gotta do.
Yeah.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a recommendation that we postpone item number 1 in the public hearing section until the 15th of May, 2024.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, conduct a public hearing on issuance of improvement area number 4 bonds for the Manor Heights Public Improvement District. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone item number 2 until the May 15th, 2024 City Council meeting.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by council and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on the items unless requested by the mayor or council member, in which event items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number 3, consideration, discussion, possible action on approve the city council minutes. Number 4, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a water utility easement for Lot 8, Block A, Manor Crossing subdivision. Number 5, consideration, discussion, and consideration on a sidewalk easement for Lot 8, Block A, Manor Crossing subdivision. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as written.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Mesbah. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Number 12, consideration, discussion, possible action on a service agreement with Hunden Partners to provide feasibility study and services described in the proposal submitted in response to the city's RFP for mixed-use sports entertainment development feasibility study for the 236-acre East Manor East Development Number 1 property.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, thank you for considering this early. We have visitors here that came in from Chicago and our consultants, and I wanted to get them out of here if possible. The city has sought proposals for a qualified firm. This is a special property and requires special feasibility study consultants to determine the most advantageous mix of economic development and public use for the property. And 9 proposals were submitted for the feasibility study RFP that was put out in April. And the city council, as you know, authorized the city manager to select an award the mixed-use sports entertainment feasibility study services. The city manager has picked Hunden Partners as that proposal award winner, and the proposal for services agreement is in your packet. I have representatives here from the Hunden team that includes WSP and I guess I've got Rob here also, who you probably met before, who's on our strategic team with Catalyst Development on our downtown plan also. And I let them come up and introduce themselves. They have a little presentation that they'd like to give you also. So, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here in Manor today. We're very excited to be here to provide a brief introduction of our firms, as well as a little bit about our scope and methodology for this exciting project that you all have going, and we're very excited to work on as a team. So to do some brief introductions of our team, beginning with myself. I'm Matthew Avila. I'll be the lead project manager from Hunden's end. Have extensive experience working in some surrounding markets that we'll touch on briefly here in a sec in terms of our work in Temple, Texas, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and currently in Waco as well. But I'll be the lead project manager, and I'd like to introduce Mike Thiessen, our project executive on this project as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager and Council. In spite of maybe unique comments that are here, I will tell you we are very excited to be here. We think we bring a breadth and width of knowledge that you don't very often see. 100 or 200 and almost 40 acres that's blank. And with that, we've brought some wonderful designers and some creativity to give you that blank canvas, which we are very, very excited about. I'm excited about being back on this project. The last time I was on a project in this part of Texas was the Dell Diamond over in Round Rock. So I have fond memories of coming down here and going to some barbecue joints. As you can tell, that's an important part of my well-being. So I would just want to tell you, we will bring the best that you will see within this industry and take bits and pieces from every project that we work on across the country to give you different ideas that you will not have in-house. So again, thank you very much. And if you ever have any questions, I'm the project executive because I'm the oldest, not because I'm the smartest, but you're in very good hands with these guys.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Manjeet Ranu, and I serve as the National Planning Lead for WSP in the United States. And we're very excited about this opportunity to help support you in your vision for this important property in the future of Manor, especially with all the change that's happening here in the Austin area, particularly here in the eastern part with the significant growth and development and employment in this area. So we're here to support you and the team. And in particular, our key role is really on the site assessment and the technical work to understand what the foundation is that we're working from, to understand the opportunities and constraints for the property, as well to inform the creative visioning process as well. So I'll turn it over to my next colleague.
Thank you. As Scott had said, I'm Rob Parsons with TBG Partners, working with y'all on the downtown plan, and we've enjoyed that process. I'm excited to explore a little bit more how this site can complement what we've talked about in downtown and vice versa. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Please proceed.
So to just chat a little bit more, we'll go quickly through these remaining slides. As Scott mentioned, Hunt & Partners, we find ourselves at the intersection of real estate development, tourism development, and economic development, helping communities across the country create great places for not only the local residents, but to attract visitors and create a great ecosystem for all. As I mentioned, we'll be the project lead for this, really diving deep into the market research, understanding how you all are positioned in the greater Austin metro area, and then how different forces of growth will change the ecosystem moving forward into the future, and how we can accurately plan for that growth, taking those things into account. As Manjeet mentioned, from WSP's perspective, they'll really focus on those site assessments, opportunities, and constraints from the planning end. Not here today is David Greisel from Convergence Design, Facility Design. He's out of Kansas City and will really provide some great design expertise for some of those public and private facilities that will likely be located within the development. And then from TBG, as Rob mentioned, focusing, synergizing this plan with the downtown plan to be additive and collaborative to the overall city, not taking out the efforts that are going on within downtown. In terms of our Select Texas experience, I told the crew I feel like I'm down here every other week because we've spent so much time in and around the market working on some great projects that we can really lean forward on. I mentioned a few, including work in New Braunfels and San Marcos, Temple, Texas, and then current projects in Waco around youth sports as well as downtown urban development. I'd like Manjeet to talk a little bit about our team's collaborative efforts on the Dallas Convention Center redevelopment before we move forward.
Yeah, thanks. That's been a really exciting opportunity to have the privilege of supporting the city of Dallas and its convention center and reimagining what that could be. It's more than an expansion to the convention center. It's a full district plan that looks at creating a mixed-use center to really integrate transportation with placemaking and to bring some more life to downtown Dallas, to make it a real destination and a place to live, work, and play. And importantly, also connecting across the freeway. So recognizing what's around the area and to have that component of critical equity to make sure that everyone benefits from that master plan. And this was a strong partnership between Hunt & Partners and WSP, and nothing's more resounding in the quality of your work than overwhelming vote of the people exceeding 70% to dedicate revenue to implement the master plan in Dallas. So we're very proud of that one. And we look forward to being very proud of supporting you and your vision ahead of what's coming your way here in Eastern Austin Metro.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that amount that they voted for that Dallas project. So we heard about it in San Diego.
Yep.
So
it's a very exciting project and will really change the landscape of downtown. And it's been a great collaboration between our two firms, and we're excited to piggyback off that and continue that great relationship. So in terms of the situational context, Scott here really briefed us and talked a little bit about it, but obviously our focus is creating a great entertainment and lifestyle district for the city, looking at a myriad of use types and really focusing on what are the most feasible and viable in the market, but also similarly creating a strong environment where those uses can synergize together to create a great development that includes both public and private investment. So in terms of our proposed approach from all of our teams, this will begin with the project kickoff and orientation. All of us will come back to the market, and some others of our team will be here as well to spend a few days touring the sites of Manor, assessing the site situation and surrounding context, having significant stakeholder engagement, talking with all of the local community groups and organizations to understand what this site and development could mean for them moving forward into the future. And then really once we go back to our offices and start digging into the details, we'll do a detailed assessment of the economic, demographic, and tourism situation in Manor, and then looking at all those market opportunities for the use types in the proposal. From there, we'll get to the recommendations and then get to the fun stuff in terms of the drawings and the great work that WSP, TBG, and Convergence will all contribute in terms of design. Then we'll get into the numbers and the impacts in terms of that detailed assessment to wrap up the scope of work. Our total timeline is approximately 12 weeks for the full study. But we'll have many touch points throughout the entire process, beginning with that site kickoff and local discovery, but then many touch points along the way and preliminary findings presentation will occur at about the 8-week point, which will be to the entire group here and will include all of that market assessment and drawings and budgets. So, and then to wrap things up, why us? Between all of our firms, we have over 30 plus years of industry knowledge and experience, much of which in the surrounding market here in the greater Austin region. We have a history working as a team on dynamic projects close by, however, all across the country as well. We've worked together on great developments that have come to fruition and are active currently. One thing we pride ourselves on is placemaking development. So creating great places where residents can thrive, not necessarily focusing on commercial development, but those soft spaces where people feel that they can really live their day-to-day lives. And then finally, I've mentioned the extensive Texas experience, but we pride ourselves on being truth tellers. We're not going to sugarcoat things. We're not going to push projects forward that aren't viable and aren't bound in reality. So we'll really focus on that through the entire study process. And then a few more bullets there. We really want you all to be a successful city in the future and continue the efforts that you all have been working on here to date. And then we're excited post-study process to really help implement the project, because we don't want our study to just sit on the shelf. We'd love to help you implement the project, engage the private community, and get shovels in the ground. So that wraps things up. I just want to say thank you very much for having us today. It's great to be back in Austin and open it up to anyone for thoughts or questions.
Definitely thank you all for coming in and doing the presentation. I don't know that we have that slide deck. Can you make sure? Okay, thank you. Questions, council members?
So are there two companies? Because I keep hearing Hutton Team and then TBG. Is it TBG?
I just explain what the different
Yeah,
companies
so the project is made up of 4 different companies. Us being Hunden Partners is myself and Mike Thiessen. and others back in the Chicago office. WSP, Convergence, and TBG are the three other firms on this project, all representing different roles and scopes of services to support planning and design.
So they're the lead, and the other ones work with them to accomplish it.
These guys get to use crayons and we get to use spreadsheets. So that's really the difference. So we don't really overlap too much. They'll draw what we can't afford and we'll tell them what they should draw that you can't afford. So that's about the most simplistic way we could put it together.
I would say, Mayor and Council, when we get to this point of a process, I mean, this is the point where you can see really creativity come. And when you hear people say you got people on staff that can do this, we can't do it at this level. To bring it, it'll pop, but it also show that if you want, us to stand out and find something that could be a draw, and that's what you do. You allow all that years of experience and all the things that's in the area or not in the area, and then it can come to life when people see it. And then we have the engagement piece that allow everybody to see that could happen, and we're in a position for that to happen with this team.
I think the city manager point is very valid in the sense that we can take different things from each project that we've worked out across the country. Some will be relevant, some won't be relevant, but we've got a different universe of knowledge versus just a local universe of knowledge. Not that that's bad. It just gives us a bigger pot to draw from more than anything else. So we want to bring the best of each thing. We know this didn't work here. We don't need to bring it to Manor. We know this worked here. This would be perfect. Geographically, roads, intersection of transportation, youth sports, everything. So we try to take and pick the best and the worst so we don't repeat the same mistakes someplace else.
There's some uniqueness about Manor in regards to like the things. Some things are not evident on the surface, and so diving deep, knowing who's in the area and knowing what people are proposing and trying to do, I think would be influential. I'll give you an example of poor research. Not saying that you all do that. We selected you because we don't think you're gonna do that. But when we talk about our Walmart and not having an oil change center because someone thought something else or didn't dive a little bit deeper, and so we have a Walmart without an oil change center or a tire repair service. And so those kinds of things where people say, well, they didn't think we were going to grow. They didn't think it was going to be this. And so, but all of these other factors were at play. And so there's a lot of factors at play. And so I hope that you ought to be able to have those conversations and get that information. We have a rich athletic history, which is why kind of that piece is there. We're probably one of the few communities our size that have had back-to-back NFL drafts. And so we have a third coming in the following year, and other and some NBA athletes going as well. So there's a lot of information that, because we're in the shadow of Austin, that kind of sits quiet, but there's those pieces there. So I just want to make sure that you're all aware of that. That the on-surface data is going to show some things, but then there's a lot of intangible things that want to come from conversations and meeting people and dive a little bit deeper.
Mayor, when we have those kickoff meetings, that's exactly what we do. We want to meet as many possible people, groups, for, against, don't like it, do like it, because that helps us synthesize all that information.
Thank you.
We always like to say the people make the place. It's not the place that makes the people. So those kickoffs, like Mike said, are just so important and launch the study off. And really, that's not the first point where we engage. We'll have virtual engagement after for those that aren't able to be there.
Okay. Other questions, comments, council members?
So the current situation with the legal agreement is our legal counsel has drafted a services agreement on our recommendation, and we have sent a draft to Hunt & Partners, and they have it, and they are looking at it to give us a reply and any changes or comments and such. So we're working on that agreement right now. So staff recommends that authorize the city manager to negotiate that and complete that agreement. And then we have the bid that came in from Hunden was for $298,800, and we would recommend that you approve him signing that agreement for that amount. If you would, please.
Questions, comments, or a motion?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a service agreement with Hunden Partners to provide a feasibility study and services described in the proposal submitted in the response to the city RFP for a mixed-use sports entertainment development feasibility study for the 236-acre East Manor Development Number 1 property in the amount not to exceed $298,800.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mespar. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you again for coming in. This is actually going to be one of our additional momentumous occasions. So can we get a photo? Because I know years back, we're going to look back at this day and be like, it started here at this situation and
Absolutely.
this meeting. So if we can get a photo, council members, we want to archive this.
Well, we know that there was 9 responses, and we're very honored that you selected us because you had quality firms top to bottom. You did pick the best one. But the fact that there was 9 firms shows that there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't realize there was that kind of competition. So we're very honored that you selected us.
Thank you. Now come on down.
Yes, it's already good. You guys have to look like you like each other. Our beautiful ladies can be in the front. You're not. You need to move this way, guys. They're not very civilized. Okay. Okay.
Y'all get some sleep.
All right.
If you wouldn't mind sending us a picture too, we'd like to keep it in our file.
Yolanda, will you send us that picture so we can send it to them?
Correct. Yes. All right.
All right, y'all be safe traveling.
Thank you very much.
All right.
See you soon.
All right.
See you soon.
Hey, where's your
All right, moving on. Number 8, consideration, discussion, and possible action on confirmation, ratification, and approval of a deposit agreement with Lawson Trotters Development Corporation related to the Lawson Trotters Public Improvement District. Yes, sir. Somebody, one at a time.
So this one, it was approved, I believe, your last meeting, and so this is just ratifying what Mr. Moore has already signed for that deposit agreement related to the Entrada Glen PID, where they deposited a certain amount in cash, and then there was that certain amount in that letter of credit that's provided to us.
Okay, we get a motion on the floor, council members? Or question? We're on number 8.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that City Council confirm, ratify, and approve the deposit agreement with Las Entradas Development Corporation.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any question to the motion? Questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to number 9, consideration, discussion, possible action on a resolution of the City of Maynard, Texas, commencing the annexation of a road right-of-way of 1.222 acres of land more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits, setting a schedule for annexation, and providing for open meetings and other related matters.
Sure. So this item, you can see on the exhibit, it's actually a very awkward remainder piece on the surveys. It's shown as abandoned county right-of-way, which is why we're treating it as right-of-way. There's no existing, obviously, road improvements through there. So through this process, we'll be formally annexing it so that it becomes city right-of-way. And then we're able to, with the developments on either side of it, they're trying to cross it with an access drive, and they may put some city utilities in it. And if it's city right-of-way, it makes it a lot easier. We can do license agreements, and they can install the utilities there as they need to. So that's all it is. Since it is labeled as county, we'll be sending the county a notice tomorrow about this proposed annexation. They have 60 days to comment on that. I don't really expect them to, but by state law, that's the time frame. So it's a little shifted schedule than our normal annexation. So you'll see it come back to you after that 2-month window with the county. And then we'll do the 2 public hearings on it instead of just 1. But it is, like I said, sort of just a weird remainder portion between 2 properties.
And this is the one I think we talked about that we're doing it with Travis County. We're getting it.
Yes, so it is on surveys and through deeds labeled as a county abandoned right-of-way. And so we're treating it as it is their right-of-way, which is that notice, the additional notice that we have to send them.
Is there questions, comments, or a motion?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve of resolution number 2024-14 of the City of Maynard, Texas, commencing the annexation of a road right-of-way 1.222 acres of land, more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits, setting a schedule for annexation and providing for open meetings and other related matters.
So a motion on the floor by Councilman Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving right along to number 13, consideration, discussion, possible action on the allocation of city funds for Maynard-Palooza expenses.
Hi everyone. As our person last meeting, you asked us to come out to you with another funding solution for Maynard-Palooza and upcoming events. So see if we could use city funds to actually finish in funding Maynard-Palooza. We did found some sponsors that were able to come together, but again, we still need to finish sponsoring it. So
I think Mayor Council, when we looked at the option last meeting, we looked at the allocation from hot funds, but when there was more discussion amongst you, we felt like we had to get more sponsorship, and I think that was the question, is where the sponsors at. And so based on even some of the calls that I've got Monday, there's still some that want to participate, and we're just trying to get them in the fold, so that way if it's not this event, we can go to them for the remaining events this fiscal year. So I think we have a good chance of getting their support. If you have a good event, good turnout, everybody wants their name out there, and that's what we've been letting them know with the new venue. That gives them a chance to get more exposure. And we had a cutoff where we had to just recognize the sponsor that had made a contribution already. So there's going to be some that may not be recognized on the banners, but we can make another recognition after the fact to say these are ones that still contribute to the event. And could be a partnership with school district or metro, but want to make sure those entities get recognized for their efforts, barring nothing else to stop us from hosting the event this weekend.
Okay. So we're using city funds, and then y'all gonna come back in June and ask for reimbursement.
Yes, sir. What we'd like to do is be able to, because with us having other events planned, we'll be able to come back and say, here's all the expenses, but also if anything comes forward, we give those sponsors an opportunity to contribute toward the other events. And with this being not all the partners we had from the last couple of years, this is our first time going out as city, and then basically having a letter to be able to give them for their contribution. And we've got a letter prepared, so when they do make that contribution, we can send them that it's a tax deduction. And so some prefer 501c3s, but we do have the right to be able to work with entities that would like to have a donation or a sponsorship without it and get recognized for that contribution for our events.
So tonight,
Tonight we just wanted to make sure we came back to say, if once we come back, if we do, and if there's another funding source, or we can really show who all contributed, then we'll be able to say, because this is going to be the starting point for how we build our budgets going forward. And I think there may be some involvement from council wanting to say more input on this. So if we're going to come to you requesting funds, we feel, staff, you should have input on our planning. And then that way we can know how to set the budget and come back to you, in a timely manner to be able to make that, build the budget around some of the expectations that you have.
Well, are we coming back to get reimbursed through hot funds, or
No, just basically come back and say, here's the expense. And if we wanted to pledge, any additional funds, I mean, it'll be after the fact, but we know there's other community events coming up. And so we know we may be a little short in some of those other areas. Just making sure we can come back to you to say, what happened to this event? What was the overall budget? We'll be able to see it, and then we can still have the budgets that we have for the 4th of July, Juneteenth, and any other events this fiscal year. So even when we go to the budget process coming up, we'll be able to identify how to set aside some allocations to put on the events that you like to see.
Okay.
This may have been brought up already, but I'm trying to remember. So what was that reason as to why we came to this point with Maynard-Palooza? Because past years we just never had this issue before with funding and getting sponsorship. What actually happened to now where we're getting this kind of financial request?
Well, I think in the past with the 150th and prior to 150th, because I think COVID kind of, we had Friends of Rainer Park, and they did a lot of the asking because those entities that gave to them to their nonprofit status. And so the event was at a venue that's smaller, but now we've kind of outgrown that. The budget kind of increased as we grow. And so with them not participating this year, and we came to the council and say, this is an event that's been on the books. And now we had to show the budget that where in the past you've seen after the fact. We wanted to show before that this is what we're working with. And weather permitting, we should have a good turnout for the allocation that we spent so far on the
Yeah, I think that's the deeper question is, because one of the things we talked about was, one, we didn't know that it wasn't a city event. That was always kind of confusing for us. And so in the last year, we found out that it was the city's, that it was a nonprofit that was taking a lead on this, but the nonprofit are city employees. And so it goes back to the question of, do we have, when we say the work didn't, the sponsorships are not happening anymore, to me, that sounds like the city employees that were in this nonprofit have decided not to do it anymore because of the same people.
Right? Not knowing if, like in some of the other nonprofits, when you lose membership, you don't have voting power, how they're set up. So if you lose a member too, you don't really have the authority to spend money unless they, and I don't know that status of where they are, but when you lose members and you're set up with the 4, 5 or 7, and you lose that majority, I think that limits what you can do effectively to get money and spend money. And so,
Okay. So I think a couple of things, we just need to make sure we do is, anytime there's a relationship with a nonprofit, that council needs to approve it moving forward. And thank you for trying to help us align and determine the budget now so that we can know where it is and what it costs. How much more is it costing us because we are going to the Miami East development? What's the difference in cost?
I think we were looking for the budgets from last year, and again, the one we found was from 2019, and that wasn't accurate from like 21 and 22, but 23. And so, not having that actual record, we couldn't say. I think they were going to try to come last year to request some hot funds, but that item never did make it before the council to really show. I think
that was like that was less than $75K from what I remember. So I'm just trying to figure out why it's double now. I don't know. We don't.
Well, in the past, Manor Friends of Manor Park and Chamber, each one of them put about $40,000 to $50,000 in each one around it. That is almost $100,000 for an event. Usually, an event this size, that is what it goes for.
Well, you said who contributed what?
That Friends of Manor Fires and the Chamber. That when they divided, cause all the things that they brought, that's basically around that how it was.
So the chamber's not participating again?
No.
Not this year.
Good to know. Did they say why?
The only answer we have is they're going with another direction.
Good to know. Other questions, council members?
I didn't understand that because the chamber, I was on the board last year, and the chamber didn't have that much money to give, so I know that they didn't give that much money, and I don't think they have that much money this year. So
we don't jump into that. We don't want to jump into that here. So we can have that conversation. Y'all, the chamber can have that conversation. We just need to know for city council purposes, where the contributions came from, and if people are choosing not to give anymore. So that's a whole other separate thing from us. Thank you for that information. So tonight we're just giving you direction on coming back to us in June to talk about the costs and finances, and maybe that'll be a recommendation or not.
Yes, sir. And I think we'll be able to look at when the budget process starts. We'll be able to look at event budget, current budget, so that way we know how to solicit. Because if we want volunteer groups to come forward, this would be our opportunity to see if they were willing to step up. Because I know our in-kind is our staff and everything. So anytime it's a city event, we'll be there. But if there's a volunteer group that's going to take the lead, hopefully they'll come forward and we can support them. It may not be the major events, but any event like the 5K, any event that comes forward from a group that wants to put on an event, we can make a determination how to assist them to bring out the residents to participate.
Okay. Let's see where it's from. Okay, I want to do this. I want to jump to executive session real fast. City Council will now convene into executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with authority contained in Section 551.071, 551.072, Texas Government Code Section 1.05. Texas disciplinary rules for professional conduct with legal counsel regarding this item. All right. Time is 8:47. City Council will now reconvene to open session pursuant to the provision of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Take action if any on items discussed during a closed executive session. We were on item number 13, and I think the request was to give direction for the city manager to come back in June. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that City Council direct the city manager to report back in June on the final event expenditures that qualify for hotel occupancy tax funds to be dispersed.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Rain. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesmer. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Consider number 10, consideration, discussion, and possible action. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Council, just to go back to the consent agenda, I'm sorry, if I can get a motion to reconsider, I had the wrong dates. It was a typo on the minutes, April 17. It should have been April 17, not April 16 on the workshop and regular. So I just need a motion for it to reconsider item 3 first.
You need who approved it? Just
No.
We just need someone.
And first and the second, yes.
Motion to reconsider this anyway.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider
item 3.
Item 3 of the consent agenda.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Rain. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Consideration, discussion, possible action to approve city council minutes on April
17.
17th.
City Council workshop.
City council workshop and April
17.
17th city council regular meeting. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda for item number 3 with the revised dates.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquite. Any questions to the motion? Question to the motion, being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 10, consideration, discussion, possible action on selecting an appraiser for Mustang Valley Public Improvement District, PID Improvement Area Number 1. Yes, sir.
Sure. So Mustang Valley, they're north of the senior high school. They're moving towards having their bonds issued. So as part of the PID process is selecting the appraisal. We're recommending the Aegis Group. They've done other appraisals for us recently. They just did the Manor Heights one. So they're familiar with the area and having accurate appraisals. So we're recommending them.
Okay. Questions or motion? Item number 10.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the approval of the selection of AEGIS Group, Inc. as the appraiser for the Mustang Valley PID Improvement Area Number 1 and authorize the city manager to enter and execute an engagement letter for appraisal services with AEGIS Group, Inc.
Got a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Westphal. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Moving right on to number, let's see. Yep, number 11. Consideration, discussion, possible action on ordinance amending Chapter 13 Utilities, Article 13.08 Water Conservation, Ordinance 360 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Manor, Texas, adopting the updated Water Conservation Plan and Drought Contingency Plan, providing updated requirements and schedules required by state law, amending, restating, and replacing measures with updated provisions. Hey, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here before you to go ahead and get this water conservation and drought contingency plan approved and put into ordinance.
Council members, you have any questions? Take questions for a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 741, amending Chapter 13 Utilities, Article 13.08, Water Conservation Ordinance 360 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Maynard, Texas, adopting the updated Water Conservation Plan and Drought Contingency Plan, providing updated requirements and scheduled required by state law, amending, restating, and replacing measures with the updated plan provisions.
Motion on the floor by Councilmember Rayner. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? I don't, there was, you know, you get these emails all the time about water and wastewater conservation and stuff like that. So appreciate y'all, the work y'all doing to try to stay ahead of it. And,
Thank you.
And keep these things going. So thank you to you and all the team that are working on those measures for us.
Thank you so much. And I'll relay that down as well.
Thank you. All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Council, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening. Consideration, discussion, possible action on amending ordinance number 724, establish compensation for mayor, city council, and a structured policy and procedure process. And you want to bring this up for discussion?
Yes, sir. It's for discussion.
Okay.
If you got, you go. Yep.
Mayor and Council,
Yes, ma'am.
need to get past my password.
Huh?
Need to get past my password first. Okay. This agenda item is an update to the compensation ordinance, and it enacts some more specific procedures for the reporting requirements that go along with the pay. As you know, you have adopted a tier system that's the monthly pay is based on a level of participation. So there are 4 tiers, several tiers that address the level of participation of the council members, and then the pay that corresponds to that. And so what the ordinance does is it adopts that tier system, and then it has 2 sets of reporting requirements. One is when a council member first is seated, or after this ordinance is adopted, you identify what you think your commitment level is going to be, how you're going to participate, and you look at that and you fill that out when you get on board as a council member, and you submit that to the city. And then after that is your monthly reporting, which you identify and you document and you turn into the city secretary your attendance during that month. And the city secretary under this ordinance would give a schedule of the deadline for turning in those monthly reports. They would be turned in, and then the council, the second meeting of the month, would take those up and approve it. The pay would be based on actual participation, despite if you said, I'm going to participate at a higher level in my plan, and you participated at a lower level, you'd be paid according to your level of participation, or vice versa. If you said, I only think I can do a lower level of participation, but yeah, knocked it out of the park, did some extra things, then that's what the pay is based on. But returning that form is important. If the form is not turned in by the deadline, then you don't get your pay for that month. If the city manager is authorized to review that level of participation and make sure it complies with the ordinance, and get staff to do that. And if there's a dispute between what gets approved at the staff level and what the council member thinks they should be paid for, then that goes up to the council for a determination. So it takes that out of the staff's hands and puts it up with council, since you judge your members. So that's the proposal for how that would work. There's a blank in there for you to fill in one deadline for something, and I can advise what that is. But that's the general outline. If you have any questions, please let me know.
looks like we have blanks in item 4 and 5 that we got to give you. Or am I missing one?
Yes.
Just items 4 and 5. Two, let me see, 1, 2 places in item 4, and then 1 place in item 5.
Yes.
Okay. Council members, if you haven't read it, please take a moment to go through it and ask questions.
And this is just discussion and consideration. It'll come back at the next meeting for adoption. So we'll take any direction or comments from council and incorporate those for final adoption. So the first set of blanks is when do you want that first form filled in after someone takes office, or after the effective date of this ordinance? What's the timeline for submitting that first form where you commit to your level of service? And then the second form is that if you disagree with how staff has reviewed your form, what's the deadline for letting the council know? And there would need to be enough time so that you can, well, it'll be on the agenda anyway, so yeah. Yes, it would have to be in writing, so an email.
Number 4, my question is, when you're asking about how soon, can it be requested a number of days prior to the election? Can it be part of the filing? So I turn in my paperwork in whatever, August or whatever, to run, and I fill out this form as well and turn it in. So it's public record of what my intention is, my work level. Or after the application is submitted, that it's submitted ahead of time, and it can be so that the city staff know how to prepare financially, because the budget is in adopted in October. So if we submit the forms prior to the October budget, you have opportunity to make sure that amount is present.
Are you asking for it to be part of the ballot application? I mean,
I'm asking for it to be taken care of, to be submitted during election years prior to the budget being completed. So you can turn in your name in August, and so on the website they're going to know how to apply to run, and so that piece of information can be there as well. That hey, if you're considering, because this is voluntary, you don't have to sign up to do this. And so if you would like to be a part of this conversation thing, for it to be a part of this current year's budget, you need to turn in. Otherwise, you're just putting money aside in a space that, may be too small, maybe too big.
Well, I think from my understanding, the budget is still going to be for 7 members, regardless whether they opt out or not, because this is how it's being done currently. It's by fiscal year. So remember, you guys already turned in your first one. So now that we've been doing this for several months, and from hearing you guys, trying to get these forms more specific so you guys can understand them. So that's the reason it's brought back. Because I've received calls from someone who's wanting to opt out of the pay or whatever. So we're like, okay, well, now we have to put that option in the ordinance that was already approved. So my understanding, it was going to be signed by fiscal year, but still budget whatever the amount is for the salary, the total amount for 7 members. The plan, they can still sign the plan. I think the plan can be signed, but until they take office and they take their oath is when they would, or unless council prefers for them to submit that. This is pretty much kind of falls into like HR, whatever you guys do after the fact, all the other forms you have to complete, even the PIA, the Attorney General's, the Open Meetings Act and the Open Records one, certificates. So I think that's when this should be
Yeah.
come in play, I guess, or
I mean,
sign.
so the intent of all of this with the attendance stuff and all that kind of stuff was to strongly encourage active council persons, and so so it being submitted earlier allows for people that are going to vote to know what a person's participation is going to be like.
We can look to see if there's any issue with that, but just off the top of my head, I don't think there would be an issue with doing that. The city would not be able to reject an application if it was not submitted.
It
So
has nothing
that's-
to do with the voting stuff. It's more of the intent behind everything that's been done is ensure that people come and do work.
Mhm.
So it's not to deter. I mean, it's not to say that you're going to screen someone because they say tier 1 and not let them vote. It has nothing to do with that. It's more of it's very transparent to the voters about the commitment people are going to make when if they elect them. That was the purpose of all these things, the attendance pieces, the committees, is because at one point in time there was absenteeism, mentally and physically, sitting up here, and so we are trying to do our best to incentivize people that really want to move the city forward and not come here and do nothing and be harmful. The city is so far behind because of things like that.
So there's kind of a budget cycle, and then there's a transparency on the candidate's commitment side of things. Once you're elected, are those forms reviewed and updated once a year?
I think that's what you're saying is annual, but I was speaking more just about when they take office, because it says you have to pick a number of days effective as far as when it's going to be submitted.
That's how I drafted it. Yeah. I didn't think about the budget cycle. I thought of right when you take office at your commitment level for the whole 4 years.
And I hear what you're saying, that the budget team, council and the finance director and city manager could just say the whole amount is going to be available every year. I'm saying in addition to that, if we had it ahead of time, if there was a need to save dollars, or just strictly for the fact that our intent is for the public to know what our commitments are for that. So you don't have to make a decision now. Just if it's legal, then you bring that option back for us. If it's not legal, then
We can review
it ain't legal. And we just move
Because
on.
HR and Tracy and I were discussing, we're like, okay, well, what if, someone opts out and then within a few months in, they're like, oh, no, wait, I changed my mind, so they want to get, so that's why I was like, is it going to be treated as the fiscal year or now the budget, so I guess that's what we need to figure out. If, when.
It should be, the fiscal year is not too far from the election
October.
cycle. So I would say run with the fiscal year, because you're going to turn it in, the budget's going to be available, they're going to be elected in November, and they'll start late November for the first meeting. And so there's an opportunity to get going right away. We vote for committees and all that stuff right after the election. So there's an opportunity to get started right away.
Yeah, so for the document allows for people to decline to receive their compensation, but it allows them to withdraw that request, because if they get into it and they see this is a lot of work and I need to want to change my mind, that's what's proposed in the document. You can make it different if you want to.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they decline, then 9 times out of 10, they're going to not want to be on the committee, and they're going to actually just show up twice a month when they have to, and and maybe they'll attend the workshops or not. But then the attendance policy would then start kicking in on that person. So I think the attendance piece is already there as a gatekeeper or a protector of the city, if you will, because hey, if we have these meetings, you got to make 70% of those. So that's there if they decline in that space. Yeah. Well, no, y'all can just, I don't want to prolong it. That's my thing. If y'all can bring that back to us.
Then I guess the only other thing would be you fill in your form for your level of commitment before you take office or whatever the timing's going to be. Do you update that? Can you change that during your term? If you have some life circumstance that says, look, I got to step back a little bit and be.
I think that was our intent, that you could always go down.
Okay.
It's up to y'all to decide if you want people to go up or not. But I know that we always say that you could go down because we've all experienced different life changing circumstances. And I think when we first proposed this, we said that there might be those things where it's down one time and up another.
Okay.
So, but if y'all can bring the options, you know, what's best or kind of that language, then.
Okay. Okay. Well, no matter what, it's the pay, the compensation is based on the actual work that you do. So,
So this is
John,
what he's
any
talking
additions or
about.
subtractions
he wants to
or
get it done before.
questions?
So before, so you're, okay, so she'll revise, okay, so number 4 will be checked on. Now we're moving on to 5.
But did you have a question about 4?
Oh.
Councilwoman here?
I do. I just want an example of the first sentence before you get to the ordinance within so many days of taking office. What would be that example of? It says within the earlier to occur of so many days of the effective date.
Well, right now, if you adopt this is new. So after this gets adopted, then you'd have a certain period of time that you would need to fill out the form that says what your level of commitment's going to be. So this would affect this council right now. So you'd have to fill out that form within a certain number of days of this ordinance being adopted.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
you've already done it, so you would
They've already
just
done
redo
it.
what you've already submitted.
Done it, but not the revised.
There's
But
there's a
a
new
new one. So this is the new one. So you guys would have to resign. Resign. Sorry. It's scary also. Resign. Resign the document.
Is that your
Oh,
question?
So like,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I picked up on 4. So within the earlier to occur so many days of the effective date of this ordinance, and that's of this version of the ordinance, or within so many days of taking office as a reoccurring council member or as a new council member? Both.
So every year you're doing it.
I think it should be within 60 days of a council member being elected, because that gives them a chance to get in and see what they're dealing with before they make that decision. It's like when I came on, I was green, I didn't know nothing, and I had no clue what I was doing, so it took me a minute to get my legs under me and figure it out. And we're asking for a lot more to be accomplished. So
How
I
does
think
that work? How would that work if you run again and then you're elected? Do you have to wait 60 days?
I don't think for a re-elected official, no, because you already know. But for a new elected official, I would say 60 days.
What if I know what I want to do? Because I've been coming to all the meetings and I'm new.
Well, it says within those days, so if you know, then you can fill it out before then. But give them at least 60 days to figure it out.
Council members? Well, we ain't got to make a decision now, but
no,
thank you
we
for
can
that
just
input.
write down what you're suggesting for now. So 60.
Any other questions on 4?
I definitely agree with both of what you guys are saying, I guess, to get more information about what could come back. But then I probably have more questions or thoughts about how it could actually be implemented. Because number 4 would it could seem as if no, together. At first I was thinking it could seem different, like if you're a new person versus if you're not a new person. But I just in general, I think that the days should be after, instead of being after the new fiscal year, definitely after your reelected time. Yeah, that's what I mean. Because, yeah. So depending on what you guys say, that from legal, that would just prompt the second part of what I want to say.
Thank you. You just prompted another question in my head. Before I forget it, if I could ask. I'm just concerned about the timing for this, because the last tier is for boards, and if you're a new council member, then you may not be on any boards, so you wouldn't be able to commit to
Yeah.
being on a board if you don't.
Yeah, because we're gonna pick in November. So
It's not going to be fair. It's just going to be available at that time. So some people will not have that opportunity until, and then they'll miss out on that
One of the tiers
option.
committee meetings.
and maybe they can have
And
the
then
option to
if
not have,
you have
well,
the new ones, they
the option of
have an attendance.
you can be on something
90 days.
and still learn your way through it, and not have to worry about the whole conversation thing. Just be on the learning for the next 60 days or whatever. Or you can call it an onboarding time period or something like that, or on support. But ideally, right, if there's the public safety committee gets a new chair, that's a brand new person, right, and they take a break for 60 days, you know what I'm saying? Something still has to happen if we don't. Otherwise, you're just going to have public safety not meeting for 60 days. Versus, you know what I mean? So I think we can figure that piece out. Oh, we need to think about that. A worst case scenario, we do know that it's the onboarding is tough, but it also goes back to the question and the comments we had way back then in 2019 and so forth, when we're talking about how we can help council members on board quicker. And so, I think it all matters.
I think the first two tiers for pretty much any council member, if you already know, once you get on, we're going to select committees, then that first two tiers is probably not a problem within the first 60 days. But it's the other two tiers that would be of interest to or concern to a new council member coming on.
100% agree. Other questions on 4? 5? Well, I mean, y'all good with that last sentence on 4? If you late, you don't get nothing. I didn't read that, did you?
I think Uvia gives us enough time to understand. She sends us emails to send in your report. So if you're late, that's
Yeah, we didn't want to put a date on there because, due dates do change. And normally I send out my friendly reminders of agenda due dates, and you guys have been included. And I'm keeping up with your quarterly report, so you're gonna know when your quarterly committee report is gonna be due, and then I send you the document that needs to be completed and submitted. So we didn't want to put a date there. I did want to make the monthly report a part of the ordinance, just to have it established. Obviously, you can change as this is new to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I've revised those as from what I've heard from council. But we can go over those.
Hold on, before you go that far.
Yeah.
You're all fine with the forfeit.
I have a question in regards to it, or a comment, I guess, we did get a calendar for the dates. However, since we've gotten that calendar, we've gotten new dates, and we haven't gotten a new calendar with new dates on them. So that can be really confusing. So just a thought of how we would make sure that the dates stay, like if you have a convention or if you have something where we're not.
What dates? What calendar are you talking about?
For the turning in of the reports. So we had maybe the first couple months we had changes in the dates on the calendars that we were given at the beginning.
Is this because the agenda due date changed from Wednesday?
I
Is it on
think it was
Wednesday for Monday?
maybe we canceled a council meeting, or we were at TML, or I'm not really
Okay,
sure.
I
But
got, I
it was
got, yes,
there
I'll,
was a change in the date that they were supposed to be turned in. Maybe it was a Monday instead of a Wednesday. I don't know. I don't remember the exact details. Just I know that there was a change in one of the
okay,
months.
so I do have the revised calendar, and I thought I had sent that to you all, but I'll resend it. The one with agenda due dates in it. So the agenda due date changed from Wednesdays to Monday, and that's including reports. So I'll resend that if I haven't. And then of course I know I gave you guys the binders, so I don't know if I need to see what exactly was in there, but whether it's in there or not, I mean, when I send my emails, I will send you the document. This is when it needs to be completed, and I normally I'll fill out the months, or so you guys can kind of see, okay, well, this is for the month of whatever. And then your committee reports is totally different. We're not even talking about that one. This is just for the compensation one. But yes, I'll make it and resend the new agenda due calendar.
Everybody good for it? All right, number 5.
I guess my question from back on number 4 was that the opt-out conversation that you and Paige were having, was that different from this last line, or was that just opting out in the beginning completely for the entire?
Well, on the plan, we actually added, maybe see the exhibit B. Yeah. So there's a whole section form to decline the council compensation. That whole section is new. So we just added it to the plan. There's a blank page in between because the way it was redlined, but
448.
yes, 448. So we still wanted to give the opportunity for new council that comes in. Obviously, they still want to do a plan, but they might say, okay, well, I'm just opting out from the compensation part, but they're still going to turn in a plan regardless of what their goals are for that year, or for while they're in office.
So that's definitely separate from the last line of number 4.
The city council monthly reports must be submitted by deadline or compensation for the prior month. So pretty much the way you can see that is turning in timesheets. It's simple. I mean, it's how we see it, I guess. We want to, payables, they're going to need the backup, and it's just to follow whether it's your attendance and just for backup purposes. But pretty much that was the discussion. We're like,
so what you're saying is, I mean, from just what it looks like, you're saying that somebody could have done a whole entire 1 through 4 tier for the previous month, but if they don't get that report in by the deadline, then they forfeit it?
yes, that's what it's saying on the ordinance.
Okay.
Because it's going to council for approval.
Yep.
And it's compensation. It's being treated so differently. I understand that. But in order for payroll to move forward or process, it's like turning in your timesheets. Okay, this is what's going to be presented. And it's turned in. So just so you guys know the process, you guys submit those. I kind of review and see. Sometimes I'll let you know, hey, I moved, I changed this, but I don't make the final decision. That goes to Mr. Moore. He finalizes it. And then it's moved forward from there to HR. It's out of my hands. So we're just trying to keep everything together and make sure there's backup for the compensation.
Yeah, I can say for the most part, everything is usually there. Just once it's on the second meeting of the month, that Thursday or Friday, everything can get processed. But if there's something missing and there's no backup, we'd have, there's some things you would just automatically get compensated for, but the extra stuff, we just want to make sure it's there so that way it doesn't have to be a dispute with the ordinance or the intent of you committing to that plan. If you commit to that plan, just everything would match up to the plan that you commit to for meeting. Because there's going to be some meetings that do come up that's not part of your plan that you will get asked to attend. And if you got the calendar and the invite, it's all part of that second meeting of the month will be there. And if you ask to be a speaker or to participate, it'll be there for the council to know, the community to know that you are engaged beyond the first and third, because people are expecting a lot of us, and you taking on that role is allowing you to be visible, to be able to speak on behalf of the city. And so
I get that. It just seems like it would be unfair if certain individuals had some circumstances that prevented them from meeting that deadline, who has accomplished so much in that tier 1 through 4 previously. Like I said, I don't know, it just seems kind of hard to me.
So
I would think maybe even just some kind of grace period or something.
Well, I think the grace period, because that's the same thing I thought at first, but then I thought about it. Like, today's May 1st, so we have from May 1st until, what is it?
So next May 15, so Monday, it's the due date that's coming up Monday for the following agenda. Let me look at my calendar.
So May 6th. So we have from May 1st to May 6th to turn in the report for April.
So our next meeting is May 15. Items are due on the 6th. But I do give I still have actually till Monday or Tuesday of the fall to add your backup. So you still have, because so agenda due dates are Monday. I post the agenda on the 10th. So we understand, if there's something's going on and you guys can't get your backup, then just send it to me. As long as we have it before, obviously, before the meeting. It's just like I had to revise the agenda packet because I didn't include one of my set of minutes. I was finishing those up.
That's the whole thing, is we don't want, part of what we've been trying to do is to get the information a lot quicker so that we have more time to read it. So we don't want you to have to go into the week of. So can everybody be good that what is it? Right now it's the 6th. So that will be 7 days after it. That's like a 7-day period. Can we agree to have it in by 10 days after the month ends? Does that work for everyone? By the 10th of every month?
That works for me. And going back to what it says, if you miss it, then that's the way it is.
Look, here's the thing: I know this is accountability on our part to maybe keep things going during the month. Since we already have the forums and stuff, so maybe we just gonna have to work to write it down and keep it going. Because I think probably I don't know. I know I've been late before. I haven't been hard. Yeah, I've been late before. But I don't have a problem, holding to this because it hurts the process.
Yeah, if I'm late and if I'm late, then I don't get paid. I'm fine with it.
So. Anyway, we're not making a decision today anyway. So
no, it's for discussion.
We can everybody think about
it.
Yes. Go on to it later.
I think
the 5th. number 5 is about the monthly reports. And if there's a disagreement, it comes to council. Have to submit it to council. Usually everything is within 10 business days. That's what I would recommend there. I don't know what y'all are thinking, council. But anytime that I've dealt with disputes have to be submitted in writing within 10 business days. So again, we don't have to agree now, just that's what I've seen as normal. If y'all want to think of a different number, that's what that section is.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I guess since we're is this only specific to reports that were submitted on time and that was already paid out during that time? Because I guess if you didn't know, do you know how much you do know, right? By the time we approve the third or the second, the meeting on the third week, you do know what you're going to have by then, right? So then there's no second approval before that approval. Am I correct for the order?
There's
no
second approval or-
pre-approval before the council. By the time it gets to council, that's the end.
No.
Okay.
So what you turn in to me, I kind of review it in the formatting part. Now, then it goes, then it's because sometimes there's no time to, Mr. Moore's super busy and there's no time for him to review and to, because it goes to, he reviews those with HR. So if we have a deadline already and I'm like, okay, well, it's council, council night, you guys have to have the packet. It's going to go for approval. You guys are approving what's being submitted. So if it's approved that way, then, later on, then you get your payment and you're like, oh, wait, this is not what I submitted. Then that's when this comes in place and in play. We're like, okay, well, I'm disputing it. But then you have so many, whatever days you like, then it would be, I'm assuming, presented at the next council meeting once, if council doesn't like the outcome of it and wants to challenge it, then there's that.
So basically,
option.
Once you get your check or don't get a check, you got a certain amount of business days to submit in writing for council to review it, because we won't know until the pay.
I think what I understood from the question, I'm not saying that this is what you said, but what I understood was that if you don't turn in a report and we're saying the deadline is the 10th or whatever day it is, and then you want to dispute that by saying, I'm disputing turning in my report, would that be considered a dispute?
Well, if you don't turn in a report, you're not going to get compensated. It's from what this ordinance is saying. Yeah. So there's nothing
I would
to
want
dispute.
to adjust my report to reflect a different tier.
No, the dispute is only for the compensation amount. So to have a
So if I forgot to put in something.
Yeah, so if you don't have a report, then that wouldn't include.
Or if
the report.
Sorry.
'Cause that's
Or
what that
if
dispute is.
you were moved from a different tier saying this didn't qualify for that tier and it was moved to different pay. And you're thinking you got level 4 or 3 and no, it was only 1 or 2. Something like that.
Yeah, so I heard two things. I heard what she just asked and what I answered, and I was going to get to the second one. So yeah, no, that was the second thing I was going to get to was because I was reading the language and at first glance it looks like okay, well you can do it right and make a request back, but because it's saying in the event, the beginning part in the event that there's a disagreement with the terming of the compensation amount. And preceding that is talking about the report, monthly report. So those are preceding things. So it has to be your actual monthly report in play, and the attendance pieces for that one to actually be taken into consideration. So if there's no monthly report and attendance, then there's not even a compensation, so you can't go back on it. That's why I asked about to pay attention to the last line, line 4, because that's the only one when I read through it that there was no other waiver around it. So it's a done deal. If you don't turn in, it's a done deal. There's not an appeal for it.
So what I don't get, what I don't see in here is where it would say, which is what UV was addressing, was if there was a date of the number of days after the determination, if that determination is based on the day that council approved or the day that you actually received your payment in your own bank account, or the day that Mr. Moore looks at it as well, because those could all be 3 different dates.
So specificity there on what it is. My thought was, we don't find out it's approved until the bank, because what he was explaining is that we'll approve the reports, but they still finalize, and then there's still determination that takes place between the city council meeting and actually that Friday. And so at that point in time, we can approve a plan that says tier 4 when we vote, but when we can approve the receipt of the monthly reports, because that's what we're approving, is we're accepting the monthly reports. But the determination of pay is actually what's happening, the ongoing time period from the submission all the way to the actual cutting of the check.
We can, can I suggest, we can also have council submit the monthly report way ahead of time. It doesn't have to be on the agenda due date, because then, I mean, say 2 weeks in it, I mean, because even the first of the month for the prior month, that way it'll be ready and reviewed, and council will get the final whatever is being approved, and during that time Mr. Moore can review it and discuss it individually with you. Hey, this is going to be moved, or that way what's being
I think we need a grace period. So I don't want to say,
or like the first of them. I mean, giving more time to, because you're talking about the second meeting. The agenda due dates are pretty much due on during the second.
We can just lock it in, because the second meeting of the month is when we accept the reports. That Friday is usually when the check thing stuff happens, and so you can just say we can designate the 3rd Friday, or there'll be 10 days beginning the Friday after the second meeting of the month, and that locks it in. Because that's the standard practice that you all been doing. So you just say that 10 days after the Friday preceding the second meeting of the month, and you're good to go. And you have 10 business days from that to get in, which takes you into the next month to inquire, to find out what's going on, and then write a report about why you think the amount is wrong. Plus, you can always ask. You can always call if you turned in on time, or even after you turn in the following week. You can always call and ask and say, "Hey, y'all got any questions?" Yeah, if that's the case. All right, move forward for time. I would say, council members, please pay some time and attention to that. Dive into it, because next week we're gonna vote. I mean, next on the 15th, y'all are going to vote. I won't be here, so it's in y'all's hand. All right, moving on. Last but not least,
did you real quick? Are we still in this item? Yeah, I'm going over the exhibits real quick just to make sure we're all on the same page. So that was just the ordinance itself. So moving to I just want to know, I mean, if you guys are okay with what's being deleted, what's being revised on the compensation plan, or added. And briefly on the plan, we're changing on tier 2 from 6 meetings to 4 a year. I think that was a discussion from council. So I've been making my notes. So we're including that. We're changing that. And then I'm just adding the quarterly council committees are going to be due. They're due October, January, April, and July. Second meeting of the month. I am, we also removing on tier 3, the earning of the 8 to 16 TMO credit hours. It was very specific. We're like, well, maybe, some of the conferences or other meetings, it's not going to be that long. So we have no way of keeping up a record of the hours of that. So just removing that.
So the initial idea was we were supposed to be submitting a plan for the year, which is why those numbers were they were at the time. It was supposed to be a plan for the year, not per month. And so even like in tier 3, where it's talking about 2 community meetings, we're supposed to host 2 community meetings, not per month, but 1 per, 2 in the year. That was the intent, and to go to at least 1 HOA meeting in the year versus 1 HOA meeting per month, or in 2 council meetings per month. So that was the original intent. Everyone was supposed to submit a plan for the entire year, and then sure up. Then I was like, in June I'm supposed to be doing this, blah blah blah, because I submit my plan, and as long as I meet my dates, I'm getting the tier that I submitted. If I don't get my dates, this was the original conversation. If I make it through 2024 fiscal year, and I said I was going to do 15 things throughout all these tiers, and I only did 12, then at some point in time I got to sure up. I got to come even on that, so that means we be paying back. Or however, that was the initial plan, was setting a plan for the year versus going month to month. The month to month makes it go up and down, and it makes it harder in regards to those items like community meetings, because nobody's going to do 24 community meetings in a year, or there's not. I don't even think there's 12 HOAs to do 1 per month. So that was the original intent, and so that the 8 to 16 hours was to get 8 to 16 hours across the year, not just that. So that was the initial intent. So if everything is monthly, then we need to have a conversation about tier 3 as well, about the community meetings, the community meetings.
Well, I mean, we can leave that section there for the plan, but on the monthly report, because that's different, then we can just remove it from that one, because it's pretty much just the same one without the amounts. Your tier criteria, your meeting criteria for on the monthly report, it's the same. So it can be that section can be removed from the monthly report form, not the plan. That was the intent.
Okay.
It's confusing when they're turning in the monthly report. It's confusing to me whenever I'm like, okay, well, it just got cleaner to keep it, to not have that wording on there for the monthly report section or form. So do you want to leave it on there for the plan?
Oh yeah, I'm fine with leaving it on. I was just giving context of what the 8 to 16 was there, and why the host 2 meetings and why those specific numbers were there was because the initial thought was context was an annual plan versus monthly.
Okay, I'm a little confused on that, because if, say for instance, I've been to some of the TML, like a luncheon or a 1-day event, does that count towards that 8 hours? We went to the one in Bastrop, and that was what, 2 days?
Well, that's why the hours were there, was because you can go to an event and there's no learning, there's no growing, there's no impact, and then you could just be going to a bunch of events. Because again, the intent behind this was in all tiers that we're doing work that impacts the city. So that's why the hours was there, because we want to incentivize council members becoming proficient and remain and just go to events.
Okay.
That's what the language says now. So in your particular case, If you go to with this language going out as far as the credit hours, if you go to a lunch hosted by TML, then it counts for tier 3. If you go to a happy hour hosted by TML, it's a TML event. It's a large event. It was a big party. That's what it says.
Well, I mean, I'm like, I don't know, because I went to the Economic Development Conference in Bastrop. And that was
That
like
had
a
continued at hours,
that was a 2-hour
and
event.
that counts.
Okay.
So, but that's different from a lunch or an event. That's why, again, the credit hours were there, was because it's supposed to encourage learning and growth versus just, because otherwise, like I said, when they had a TML thing in San Antonio, if they have a TML party, you just drive down there, go to the party, and come back in this tier 3. If it's based on the language that's left, because it says or other large TML event.
Okay, so we'll leave that language in the
Uh,
plan.
Well, I think maybe just need some more specificity in there. Just just kind of spell it out more than it, or somewhere in the entire document, the purpose and intent. Because I think if you have, he can have that kind of piece for as he's evaluating on there. It also allows for council members, someone that, like what the city manager says, it comes to council members, we have to have like a principle to stand on. And so that principle of, it has to be, how is what you're doing? Now I have a scope to write my report. When I'm asking for council to consider hey man, I did this, I have to explain how what I did is helping the city. If I can't explain it, the council can't see it, then they're not going to approve it. So I think we put that in there, that overarching thing, then it kind of helps lock in all 4 tiers and says, well, that's not helping the city. You just went to something, or you just did something, or maybe you're helping yourself. But everything we need doing has to have a purpose and tied to helping the city. That's the whole purpose of this whole thing. Otherwise, it gets out of control, and this whole thing becomes a nightmare.
Okay. So moving to 4. I actually removed, recommending to TML Region 10 involvement, and actually put board member on there just to be more specific, because this tier talks about memberships approved. And it's just for clarification purposes. Because we, just for council to understand, it's not just attending a meeting, a Region 10 meeting. It's actually being part of the board. If you've listed the state board appointments and CapCog and memberships, so it kind of just clarifies that wording there, if council's okay with that. And then the active, that was just the correcting of the providing. That was no change there. Moving on to the committee, under committee commitments. I did want to add in there, because it kind of falls with the council's rules of procedures. Agenda and summary minutes must be submitted to the city secretary to archive. Just as a reminder, there's meetings that are going on and I'm not aware of until the day of. So don't have council comes to me, it's like, when did this committee meet? I'm not going to have a record of it. So I just want to go ahead and include it in here, because it is already included in the council's rules of procedures.
We not, the teams is there. We created the committee team thing, so I know it's been archived, hard copy. Can we ensure that it's been archived in that teams thing as well? Because you have access to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're probably the only one that's been using that. I don't know if the other committee members have been using Microsoft Teams.
Even if it comes to your hard copy, can it be archived in there until everyone kind of, I'm pretty sure maybe people don't know how to make sure it gets in there, and that's fine. But if they get it, I like the addition there because at least it gets to you, and then we can make sure it gets in there. So as committee people change and go in and out, they can just have a digital way to go back and see all the records, versus coming to you and get all those copies.
Yeah.
Because only the committee people have access to it, so we separate out so nobody else can see those things.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll look into the teams and see what's been there, but again, I would like still receive it, because what I do, I go into the calendar and I'll send a calendar invite to only the committee members. That way, whenever I know what's going on or who's meeting. So, for instance, if
Are you asking for it prior, or are you asking for a period? Because how it reads right now, I thought you were just meaning you just need it. But if you're talking about calendaring it, you want it.
well,
prior.
even the day of, because even when capital, whoever meets the capital improvement or whatever, like, oh, we're having a meeting. Frank's been really good on sending calendar invites on those, so I
So
know.
you want it prior.
Or yes, prior will be
Can
helpful.
you have that in there for committee standing, so that's real clear.
Yeah, and it's just standard. Yes, because you're going to need an agenda to go over whatever is being discussed. And I understand sometimes the agendas are put that same day, and that's fine as long as I get it, whether it's that day or the day after. But if it's before, it will be great, because then I can put it on my calendar and add it to your calendar if you haven't done that as well. But I have a track of it, like, oh, this is when you have it in your calendar, because I hear it all the time. It's not on my calendar. I'm not going to go. So I just want to make sure helping us, assisting council with reminders.
Okay.
Committee budget request due first Monday in August. We completely remove that because now council is actual whole committee shouldn't be talking about budgets at all. So we just removing that whole section, that line. The quarterly reports due, just to be clear, those are due the second regular council meeting of the month, October, January, April, and July. Also the committee, I changed from action to recommendations. Committees should not be taking any actions, just to be clear. So just all committees' recommendations require city council approval. So it's just to clean up that verbiage on that. So the next section, the Texas Municipal League participation, so you council can see what falls in that category. You have your TMO Region 10. There's a TMO Leadership Academy, the training sessions, TMO conference. Just wanted to give suggestions there. And then under the agreement, it says we're adding, must submit this report monthly by the report. Okay, so that's just what the ordinance says. That's part of the ordinance where council signs. Pretty much understanding that monthly reports are going to be due, and if there's no monthly report, then by the deadline, and consequence on that. And then the last section, it's the form to decline the council compensation.
All right.
So that's the plan. And there is a reason I didn't put the salary on here. I think it's just, maybe it's just a mind thing. I don't know the way I see it. But it would help. It helps. I think it would help council just to concentrate on the criteria instead of the pay. I'm not saying you guys, but future. And if somebody wants to see the plan, they can always do an open records request as part of the ordinance, so it's there.
Say that one more time. So you took it out because of that?
No, I just removed that whole. It's still for monthly. This is just
No, I got you now, but
Oh.
that's what I'm saying. I got you.
Yes, but I can put it back in there if you want. It's totally up to you. Um, and then on here, the red is just must be completed and turned in at a timely when they're due. It's pretty much changing onto the four meetings per year instead of 6. And then here is where I'm removing the 8 to 16 credit hours. I'll remove it from the monthly report, but I'll leave it in the plan. Is that okay? Or do you want me to leave it on here as well?
I think you just need to
Just leave
make
it
sure it's specified.
specified.
What counts and what doesn't count. Like I said, so it can be things that are, you know what I mean?
And then 5 is just clarification of board member instead of involvement. And then tier 2, there was nothing on tier 1. Everything stayed the same. Tier 2 is just clarifying from this 4 to from the 6 to the 4, adding the quarterly months on there. And that's it. Everything else was pretty much the same. And we're clear, and it was just removing those credit hours, but we'll clarify that.
Okay.
So, any other revisions you council would like to see, or
Study more mean you need more time than the 15th before they bring you back?
No, not necessarily. Just,
Okay.
This week.
Okay. Yeah, so make sure if you do have something that you think of, that you make sure you share that to the team ahead of time, because they're going to bring back some stuff.
Can may I make my last question just for clarifying? The form to decline compensation should be submitted every month you choose to opt out. Is that correct?
If you decline it, if you submit it with your plan, and if you decline it, then it's in effect for all the months until you withdraw it. So you just would have to submit it one time, and then if you change your mind, you have to resubmit the plan.
But there's nothing that needs to be said when you choose not to provide a report. That's just, I didn't provide a report, and not whether I forgot it or intentional, then there's nothing that's required, nothing necessary. Just keep going.
Right. If you miss a deadline, then you wouldn't get paid for that month that you missed the deadline, but then you can start back up the next month by submitting your report.
Okay. I was under the when you guys mentioned the process and how it gets to HR and how they want to keep record for something to kind of create an explanation of why nothing was there. And I didn't know if that was supposed to be that in place of this. That's where I was kind of, but I see what you're saying. So it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, City Council will now convene to executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551.071, 551.072 Texas Government Code, and Section 101.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct, to consult with legal counsel and to deliberate the real purchase of property, Section 551.071 Texas Government Code, and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding shelter being put, and Section 551.071 Texas Government Code, and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding the legislation related to ETJ releases. 11:01 p.m. City Council will now reconvene into open session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Take action, if any, on items discussed during a closed executive session. There are no items to discuss. This meeting is adjourned.